I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Chris, could you call the roll?
Mrs. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Heather? Here. Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone's received a copy of the special meeting minutes, the work session for February 6th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Are there any additions or corrections? Okay, Chris, call the roll, please. Motion passes 5-0. Now we have a copy of the regular meeting minutes from February 6th. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any corrections, additions? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0. At this time, we'll move into the legislative update. Michael?
Oh, so there's two provisions in the budget that are getting a lot of notice, not all of it good. And one of them is that there's a requirement in the governor's version of the budget for teachers during their licensure period to job shadow at a local business to try to increase the ties between the education community and the business community, and that teachers would hopefully be able to tailor curriculum so that it would be more college and career focused, especially career focused. That provision is not being met with a lot of enthusiasm by a lot of people, including legislators, and I suspect it will be modified if not dropped in the final version. Then the other provision that we haven't talked about too much is putting 3 non-voting members on every school board. I believe we would be exempt from since we already have a business advisory council, but that provision is also that's probably being received a little bit more favorably, but it's probably not going to survive in its current form. So a lot of times I don't like talking about things that I don't think will make the budget, but I just wanted to bring people's attention. Things things that are out there that are being talked about, although personally I'm not sure that either one of them will survive the process. So that's my report.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Okay, Jim, Butler Tech.
Yeah, I've got a few things here, Pam. Just wanted to report that Peter Clark, who teaches the financial services class over at Northwest, was voted the 2017 Association for Career and Technical Education Teacher of the Year in the state of Ohio. And it's the highest honor you can get as a teacher through the ACTE, and he does a fabulous job. I want to congratulate him. And then I know we got a video that Butler Tech did for the construction class over at Northwest. They constructed a booth down at the Home and Garden Show. And if you haven't seen the video, those guys did a fantastic job. It just shows Donnie Kelly is the teacher, and he's very, very good, absolutely. And then I had passed this out, Todd, the Butler Tech, the Transforming Lives, and that if we can get that put on the website, it just tells the student success, what's going on at Butler Tech for the month of February. And there's a couple of articles in here on our kids. Carlos Boyd, who is the president, was up at the Ohio ACT in Columbus. He's a semifinalist for the U.S. Presidential Scholars Program.
Nice.
And so he was up there to get honored, and he was out of that financial services class that Mr. Clark taught. And then one other thing that's in here is Brett Pining got to go to the inauguration for President Trump. He was through our Project Search through Butler Tech, and there's some really good articles on here on all the kids through Butler Tech and things that they do.
I'd like to jump in on what Jim said. I was actually at the Home and Garden Show, and I saw the building that they built, and I was looking at it, I really admired the work, and I thought it was great. And then I came home today and I saw the video on my email, and it was awesome that our kids built that. I mean, it was really,
spectacular.
yeah, it is really neat.
Will we be able to honor Peter Clark at one of our meetings?
Make sure we get him in, yes.
Okay.
The actual ceremony is not till July 27th, though, I believe. So,
Okay.
but we will definitely.
Great. Okay. We'll move on to the principal's report. Struble Elementary, Karen Grayson.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you tonight some of the amazing things that we're doing at Struble. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Karen Grayson. I very proudly serve at Struble as principal, and I want to thank a few of our Struble members that are here tonight with us. So as you are well aware, Struble, like the other schools in our district, have measurable goals that we have established as we move throughout the school year. I heard it was touchy. Okay, Amy, you're gonna, I'm just not gonna even touch this. So our first goal, one of our goals deals with student growth and achievement. And last year, when I presented, I went into a lot of detail about that goal. Another one of our goals has to do with teacher development and strategies in the classroom. And specifically, the strategies that we're focusing on this year is differentiation, making sure that we're reaching all of our learners at their various needs. The goal that I'm going to speak about tonight has to do with our culture and climate. And I would have to say, I was thinking on the way here, I've probably been a member of Struble staff since 2005. And so I feel that over the years, myself along with my peers and our team, we have really worked hard to establish the culture that our visitors and that our parents and students encounter on a daily basis. But this is part of our goal. We stated by the end of the school year, Struble will promote a positive, safe, and responsive culture and climate that sets high expectations for all students, staff, and community, as evidenced by an increase in the use of restorative practice. And we were looking for that and monitoring with quarterly observations. So you might ask, what are restorative practices? This is a definition from the International Institute for Restorative Practices site. And one thing that really jumps out to me as you look through this definition is at the very end where it speaks to how restorative practices repair harm and restore relationships. We have a K-2 building, so we have a lot of young kids. Oftentimes our kindergartners have never had the opportunity to attend school. So we spend some of our time making sure the kids understand procedures, practices. We teach manners, we teach respect, and so this is all a big part of it. Before I move into a little bit more about restorative practices, though, I feel it's really important to give credit where credit is due. At our building, Shannon Marks, who is a second grade teacher, agreed to be the trainer for Struble. She attended a pretty intensive 5-day training prior to the start of school, and then I know spent a lot of her own time preparing so that we could be ready to start the school year. And I really feel part of the reason that we've been so successful with our restorative practices rollout is because the time and the attention that Shannon took in our training and our preparation to move this initiative forward. The IIRP continues with the fundamental premise, and this little picture down here is a piece of the restorative practices. In front of you, Mr. Detzel, I have that kind of tag-colored piece if you kind of look through the bottom. If you want to pass that along, that's some principles that we have learned along the way with restorative practices. But the basic premise is that people who are happier, more cooperative and productive, they're more likely to make positive changes when those in positions of authority do things with them rather than to them or for them. And it was really neat as we were going through the training prior to the start of the school year. A lot of us are moms and parents. Some have really little kids. Some of us have really old kids that are in college. And it was kind of a neat reflection for all of us to think, wow, this is also something that we can make sure and try to use in our homes with our own children. So how are we moving along our culture and climate goal relating to restorative practices? We did a lot of work prior to the start of the school year, and I want to take a minute to acknowledge Gina. She's here tonight. She just popped in after her class at Xavier. She is working on her certification to be an administrator, and so part of her work was that she had to spend some project time and hours with certain initiatives at the school. So Gina has been a real big part of a lot of the changes that we've made that have been positive changes. So we worked together as a team, with Gina kind of being the lead on that, to revise our Struble mission statement. We developed along the lines with our mission statement core beliefs, as well as student beliefs, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. And then, of course, we had the in-service training for all of our staff members. This is our new mission statement, and we modeled it after what the district has come up with. So the district has a mission statement and core beliefs. That's what we modeled ours from. Our mission obviously is stated up there. You can read through that. And then we have core beliefs, believing that all individuals will strive for academic personal growth, work collaboratively to achieve our goals, and to experience and celebrate success. And then we thought for a second, those are a lot of big words that maybe our students won't be able to digest and really understand. So we decided to develop some student beliefs, which I believe is on the next slide. And so here are our student beliefs, which is basically our core beliefs, but written more in student-friendly language. And you can see we have 3. I can learn, I can work with others, and I can celebrate success. And I always chuckle. First of all, I think the pledge is always so quickly stated at these meetings compared to how slowly we say the pledge to the flag at Struble. But following the pledge to the flag each day, we state our student beliefs. So either myself or Mrs. Pullman, whoever is doing the morning announcements, we take turns echoing back and forth these student beliefs with our kids to start our day. This is just a bulletin board that we recently put up. Again, just demonstrating our student beliefs, and we have some pictures of kids showing that work in the school day. So what do these practices look like at Struble? When you walk into Struble, these are things that we hope that you would see and hear. Positive interactions in the hall, we hope that you would be greeted. Acknowledgement of desired behaviors, we have a lot of opportunities to catch kids and students in classes being good, so we acknowledge that. We use restorative questioning techniques. On the sheet that Mr. Detzel passed around, there should be the questions on there. We also, all of our staff members, I gave out an extra badge, and so we keep our card at the ready in case we would need to use that during the school day. Again, Gina helping us with some additions and changes to our discipline forms. One form that we kind of, I guess, took and ran away with, it's the timeout form, and you have a set of 3 sit in front of you, and then Todd, I left a set for you. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was Pauletta who had shared a timeout form that may have been from another school in the district, and we started to look at that, and then we kind of felt we can tweak this and make it better for our students and make it easier for our students to understand. So again, with Gina's work, and again, I have to acknowledge Beth Huber. She's our speech and language pathologist who is amazing on the computer and really great with Boardmaker. She was able to help us lay out those forms. So that's an additional piece. If a student just needs a timeout, we have a kindergarten, a first grade, and a second grade version. The kindergarten version is obviously a little more simplistic than what the grade 2 version would be. But the teachers send that form with the student to the office, and they take the time needed to complete the form. Teachers obviously took the time to teach this in the classroom because it wouldn't be effective in work unless the kids knew what the expectation was when they received the form and came to the office. And overall, that has cut down on some of the office referrals. We still do have office referrals, but it's kind of an opportunity for kids who maybe had just had more of a minor infraction to come to the office, think it through. On the front is what happened, and on the back is the restorative piece, what they could do differently next time. We also see circles. The circles that we would look for in our building are community building, instructional circles, meaning academic with review or introducing something new. and then also reflection either on behavior or on a life event. Unfortunately, we've had 2 students, I believe, this year who've lost a parent, and so when they came back to school, we were able to circle up and let them talk through their emotions that they felt they wanted to share with their classmates. We can also see student engagement during these activities, and then evidence of student support programs. I'm very excited that the district has partnered with Children's Home this year. It's given some of our students the opportunity to receive some support and counseling that they need and may not have received otherwise. We also have a few students that are attending Camelot, and I also have our intervention assistant monitor. It's the person who runs our out room, Carrie Finley. She's done a great job of providing some social skills groups for those students who need those.
Karen, you mentioned, what is Camelot?
Camelot, it's a district program where students who need support with behavior can go. It's not necessarily run by Northwest, but it's housed at Houston. And so this is the first year that I've referred some students to that program. Currently, we have, I think we're down to maybe 1 student right now who's attending. And we have a few more in the referral process, but they offer behavioral supports to students who need them, who are not experiencing success behaviorally in the classroom. Okay. We completed a mid-year survey. I'm going to very shamefully say it was just done a week ago, but I'm still going with mid-year because we'll do a final survey. And on the survey, there was some other information, but part of it was implementation of circles. And as I was reflecting on this afternoon, this is by certified staff, so this is teachers. The last one on there, where it says no opportunity to implement, that actually doesn't belong on this slide, but I didn't want to, I knew Jenny was in a meeting, I called and someone else answered, and so I'm not going to stress about it to change it. She mistakenly took that survey, but she's actually one of our classified staff members who would not have had the opportunity in her job to implement circles. But I feel good that we can see that our staff members are using circles in their day-to-day operations. The next slide is our classified staff, and we're still waiting for some of those surveys to return. This picture down here, Carrie Finley, who I was just talking about, our IMA, she's working with a small group of kids in a social skills group. Again, the types of circles that we see implemented at the building, community building, instructional, behavior reflection, and reflection on life events. We've been tracking and monitoring our observations. Obviously, since this is a new initiative for our district, we do not have baseline data to compare it to. But we are pleased with what we've seen so far. And these are not formal observations where we're going in and spending 30 minutes in the classroom. These are just walkthroughs. We may see a circle in the hallway. We may see a circle at recess, just different places that we catch this happening. Our Q1 goal was to see 4 out of 10 opportunities. We actually exceeded that goal with 6 observations. You can see in Q2 we were bumping it up to 5, and we surpassed that goal with 8 documented observations. And to date, with Q3, and I know we're close to, I think Q3 ending if I'm not mistaken, we have already seen 8 observations. Just this one story I just have to share. This is kind of one of my favorites. I was doing a restorative circle in the office with 2 second graders, and there was a situation where a boy had been harmed in the lunch line. And remember, this is 2nd grade. And so I'm going through the cards, and I'm giving them the opportunity to respond. And one of the questions is, what has been the hardest thing for you? And so I sat and waited for a few minutes, and you give them wait time. Kim's laughing because she knows the story. And all of a sudden, the 2nd grade boy said, ABC order. And I kind of stopped for a minute, and I'm thinking, well, he's telling me what's been hard for him so far in 2nd grade. ABC order is a challenge for him. I had to kind of get him back to, grab him back and pull him back into that circle and help him understand that I was actually asking what had been hard for him since he was harmed in the lunch line. But I always think of that and chuckle, and I kept a really good poker face when he told me that. I did not smile or laugh or anything. It was a great moment. So I thought it might be a nice idea I'd like to introduce Kimberly Coleman. She's my assistant principal. She's going to share just some few words from staff members and from students. And then also Tana Slavin. Tana, if you'd like to come up. Tana is the parent of two awesome Struble Blue Jays. Jack is a second grader and Maya is a kindergartner. And she also serves on our PTA. So thank you for being here.
So I'm just going to start with a staff member, a first grade teacher, kind of wrote their thoughts about restorative practices. She says, restorative practices has given me the tools I need to create an even better classroom environment. One that is caring, helpful, supportive, and loving. It has given every student a voice. Even the quietest students feel comfortable speaking up during one of the circles. We are working through the restorative practices language to improve our problem-solving and conflict resolution skills. The students have built stronger relationships with each other, and I feel that I know my students better than ever. That was a first grade teacher. We also thought it would be nice to have the thoughts of one of our classified staff members who works with groups of students. She says, in each one of my REACH groups, which are our intervention flooding groups that we do, we start each session using restorative practices. Before learning begins, each child is asked to share one positive action about their day or share something that has happened recently. This gives the students a chance to reflect and share their most positive communications and interactions that they have encountered with others. I really like the restorative practice model because it allows those students to focus on others' reactions, feelings, and thoughts. I feel restorative practice supports students' understanding of appropriate interactions, behavior, and problem solving. It gives each student a voice. And now to the cute.
Speaking of student voices.
The cute student voices of Struble. So from the kindergartner, her perspective, one time Mrs. Martini went over our math with us. We do a lot of things. We talk about rules sometimes. From a first grade kiddo, in a circle we learn and tell stuff to each other. We are going to do a circle about what's wild about weather. I know that thunderstorms can be made by dark clouds. I like circles because one day we got to eat donuts on the carpet because we couldn't do lunch bunch because there was a meeting. Another first grade kiddo, if you have a talking piece, you only get to talk, and the other kids cannot talk. You sit crisscross applesauce, and you tell Mrs. Spray the things that she is asking about. We have circles about ways to keep our teeth healthy, and your favorite animal when we're learning about animals. We also talk about using kind words with each other. Now for our second grade students, one little lady said, today we had a new student join our class, so we said our names and we said what we liked. She got to know us, and now she is happy. At first she was scared because we were all new to her. She had a turn and she was able to tell us that she likes playing outside with her dog. And finally, the last second grade student. When we do our circles, we usually talk about things that bother us in the classroom. When we do circles, we go around with one of our stuffed animals to let everyone know that it is your turn to talk. I like doing circles about good things like problem solving.
And Tana, would you like to share a few words?
Yes, as Karen said, my name's Tana Slavin. My son Jackson's second grade. My daughter Maya is in kindergarten. I have another little one, Leah, at home who's 2.5. And I'm personally a product of Northwest Local Schools, and I'm proud to be a Struble parent right now. When Karen asked me to speak tonight, I, of course, jumped at the chance, and I got to thinking about a way that I could describe Struble, and I've always thought this way, and I continue to think this, is that the word that comes to mind is celebratory. And I'm involved in PTA, like Ms. Grayson said, and a bunch of odds and ends around the school, but I've noticed that every time I walk in the door, there's some kind of a celebration going on. It's the Reading Rocks Assembly. It is the quarterly awards ceremonies with the different grade levels. It's celebrating the success of a class that went to the library and they were quiet in the hallways, or the individual students who were getting the Struble Pride stickers for good behavior. teacher, but I've noticed that they are so organized and really intentional about what they want to talk to us about. And of course, they're the test scores. This is where your child was, and this is where they are now, and this is the goal. But more importantly to me as a parent, and refreshingly so, it's not all about the test scores. And they have, other forms that are saying your child was kind to his friend when he did this, and your daughter does great teamwork with this, or your son is having issues with these 2 words, and I know he can do it. I just really know he can. So we're working on those words, and that individual attention is what I really appreciate in the teachers. And with classrooms of 20+ students, I know that's not easy. I'm guessing it's not easy. I know it's not easy. But I really appreciate the time and the really individual attention that they're able to give to our students. And I've also noticed that a lot of the teachers are friends with one another, and I think that that's a really important dynamic within the school with the teamwork and with the mutual respect that they have with each other. I think it creates a really nice workplace, at least from my point of view. Another thing that you all know is that Struble is getting a new school on the current property. And as this is like some of the buildings.
Yes.
We're jokingly saying I was losing 2 more classrooms. That's why I was like granting myself earlier. Not true. And as a parent, it's been so interesting to see that it's been refreshing to see the communication that has come forward from Ms. Grayson and the staff with letters and emails. She has rerouted buses and pickup and drop off and reimagined what recess looks like because they lost the playground, and dealing with the classroom that that she is losing, and that is pairing all of those extra challenges with the day-to-day operation of the school from a parent's point of view has been done with grace and ease, and I really appreciate that and the communication that has come forward. So thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So what are our next steps so that we can continue on this path for restorative practices? Of course, we're going to be looking for the continued use of circles in our school environment. We'll be monitoring restorative practices as they occur within the building. We recently had a walkthrough. 2 of the specialists from AO came over and spent some time. I greeted them and said, please go wherever you like. And so they did. We had a little bit just some face-to-face feedback as they were going out the door, and it seemed very positive, but I'm really anxious to get back that additional feedback so that we can continue to move forward. I think it's going to be important for us to continue professional development for all staff members. I know that this is something that Daryl has worked hard on and feels very strongly about. I can tell you that at Struble we feel strong about it as well, but continuing that development for all staff is going to be very important. And then again, just the introduction of the restorative practices to all stakeholders. So reaching out, my goal for next year is to make sure that we're reaching out to our community, to our families, so that they can learn the common language and be a part of that process as well. Are there any questions?
No, I think you did a great job.
Yeah, you did a great job.
I'm glad you brought some of your staff with you. Glad
Thank
to see
you.
them come.
I appreciate that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Todd?
Report. Public presentation, reports from employee organizations. I think you usually do this.
I do. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I zoned out for a second there.
I was going to do it though.
Good job there. Okay, report from employee organization. Gina, you know that you were telling me about the class, the observer board meeting? Don't let it be this one. Okay. Report from employee organizations. Do we have anybody from certificated or licensed? How about classified? Or school-related organizations? I have not received any requests for community comments. So now we'll move into Todd's portion of the meeting.
Thank you. First item is a certificated licensed personnel item. It is personnel retirements and resignations. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the certificated and licensed personnel retirements and resignations. Are there any questions? Okay, Chris. Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a classified personnel item, classified retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the classified retirements and resignations. Any questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a fiscal item. It is the financial reports of the treasurer, January 2017. In accordance with Section 3313.29 of the revised code of the state of Ohio, record needs to be made that the treasurer submitted a financial statement of receipts, expenditures, balances, and investments in irregular funds of the Board of Education for the period of fiscal year 2017. Treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the financial reports as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded on the financial reports. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is then and now certificates over $3,000. The superintendent and treasurer recommend the Board of Education authorize the payments over $3,000 requiring a then and now certificate as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the then and now certificates. Are there any questions or comments? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a fiscal item also. It is fiscal year 17 permanent appropriations. The treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2017 as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded on the permanent appropriations. Are there any questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a general business item. Resolution to accept GMP 1.2, 3 new elementary schools building package. A resolution approving the new elementary school GMP amendment and authorizing the approval to move forward with construction of the 3 new elementary school projects. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the resolution accepting the new elementary school GMP amendment as listed and authorize the approval to move forward with construction of the 3 new elementary school projects. This was brought to you as information last meeting with a presentation, and this is for action.
So moved.
Second.
Noticed everybody moved and seconded that. Anything else? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a general business item also. Resolution to accept bids for the repair/resurfacing of the Colerain High School track. A resolution expressing an intent to advertise and take bids for a construction contract for track and field improvements at Colerain High School and authorizing the treasurer and superintendent or designee pursuant to applicable laws to proceed with the commencement of such process as needed to solicit construction bids. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the resolution expressing an intent to advertise and take bids for a construction contract for track and field improvements at Colerain High School and authorizing the treasurer and superintendent or designee pursuant to applicable laws to proceed with commencement of such process as needed to solicit construction bids.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Anybody want to hear him read that again?
I can read it again. Just a question, and you might have said this before, Todd, Chris, what's the estimated cost for that track? Was it like 600,000 or something? 295. Okay. That seems, for some reason I had that 600 in my head, and I thought that seems awful high.
There was a 600,000 something written somewhere, but
Turf field at Northwest High School, maybe?
maybe.
That was around 690, 680?
And the reason for the repair, several reasons for the repair of the track's used by the community as well as our students, and there's a lot of rips and tears in it. It's getting to be a liability issue, so that's why we want to make sure we get this addressed right away. Okay. Chris, call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a vendor contract item in compliance with ORC 3313.33. Attached is a list of vendor contracts requiring board approval. Superintendent and treasurer recommend the Board of Education approve the vendor contracts as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a certificated licensed personnel item. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the certificate and licensed personnel items. Are there any questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a classified personnel item. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the classified personnel items. Any questions regarding that? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is for information from Student Services. It is HIB's semi-annual report, 2016-2017 first semester report on harassment, intimidation, and bullying. As a summary, 6 cases were reported. 1 was found to be justified and dealt with immediately, and that's what we had for the first semester of 2016-17 school year. Any questions?
What are the kinds of things that happen in a, when something is reported and then it's, like not found, unfounded or?
There is bullying and
Something
harassment
about bullying
forms on the
and-
website
Okay.
that we show parents how to download, or we download for them and can give them to them. Then an investigation is required by law that is conducted by the school with the oversight of Pauletta Crowley. At the end of that investigation, in writing has to be a response to the complaint of bullying or intimidation or harassment. So that is mailed out and given to the parent, and then a file is kept on at the school.
And then is, when the ones have, if there were 5 that were found to be unfounded, are they typically, like, something happened that just doesn't rise to that level, or is it?
If
usually
it's
something-
unfounded, plans are put in place because there's still something that is causing a child to feel this way. So the administrative team and the teachers will work together to put a plan in place to make sure they address what was not found or unfounded.
A lot of times what I found, where people would call on the first incident, it wasn't thinking things that were happening. Bullying is something that's an ongoing thing, and they'll associate bullying with a one-time instances, which isn't really true.
We have several ways to report it. There are ODE hotline numbers around all the buildings. They encourage the students to come talk to administrators or teaching staff, most importantly, counselors. So several ways they can report it or find out about it, or how to report it.
Anybody else?
The next item is the superintendent's update. So I would like to remind everyone that on May 2nd, we will put a renewal levy on the ballot. The renewal will maintain $7.3 million for Northwest Local School District. This is not a new levy, but instead a renewal of an operating levy. The current operating levy costs the homeowner of a $100,000 home around $154 a month. If this is renewed, it would reduce it to $148 or $6 savings.
Hey Todd, just because it's on TV, you said $154 a month, isn't that a year?
Yeah, you are correct. $154 a year.
They don't want that out on TV.
Reduced to $148 per year. So it is actually a reduction in the amount that the taxpayer would pay. This operating levy is not because we built new schools and now we need money to run it. This is a renewal levy, which means it's already been in place that the district counts on to do everyday services we provide for our students. That's key for folks to know. The other key thing is it will be moved from a 5 to a 10-year renewal levy, which means it will not come up again for the next 10 years. I've had many questions on, can you guarantee us that you won't have to put any more levies or anything else on there? Well, we never know that because we don't control the budget that comes from the state. It all depends on enrollment in your district. So there are several factors, but I think we've proven that we've been fiscally responsible, and that this is a chance to not only move it from 5 to 10 years, but to also for homeowners to save their homestead and rollback relief. There's 2.5% on the homestead and 10% on the rollback relief. And what that is the money, the county paying money for the homeowner, that if this is not renewed, that goes away from the homeowner. So not only does it go away, if it's passed in the future, it will be higher because you lose the rollback and the homestead. So we wanted to make that very clear for folks when they're voting. We will have a kickoff for the levy rally. We will get our committees together. We will be getting all that information out. I believe it's already on the website. If not, I'll get Pauletta to get it tomorrow. But we are getting committees together. We are going to communicate by land, walking, door to door, handing out flyers, meeting and greeting, phone calls to parents, voter registration we've already started on. I've already got the high schools, social studies classes, making sure all seniors are registered to vote, and then absentee ballots are a big part also. As of right now, we're the only thing on the ballot that I'm aware of. We're communicating with the township to see if there's anything else, but that's where we are with the operating levy. The other thing I'd like to talk about, we instituted for our students, by policy, when students are suspended from 1 to 10 days, they are allowed to make up all work. What we have found out over the years is that one, nobody will come back to the school to collect the work, or two, the work goes home and the student doesn't understand it because it's the same thing they've been going over in class, and that anybody who is expelled over 10 days has never been allowed to make up work. Well, we have started what's called a restorative alternative school. It is meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It provides 2.5 to 3 hours of instruction. Kids can actually show up, work with certified teachers, math, language arts, an administrator present, and get any assistance they need with their work. They take the grades that they get, they report them back to the teachers. The teachers in turn will send more work as they need it or as they get it completed. So this way, when they show back up, after the 5 days out or the 10 days out or the 20-day expulsion, they're not just going into a class where they've missed 20 days of assignments. We were automatically in the past setting them up for failure. You can't miss 20 days of school, have no work, and then go back to a class and expect to pass. Now, there are certain limitations of who can attend RAS, which is a restorative alternative school. Obviously, any type of weapons involved or assault is something that's going to eliminate for them. But it's worked very well along with, if you remember, we have our drug situation with marijuana. Anytime you're intoxicated with alcohol, under the influence of marijuana, you are allowed to go get tested, and you are also allowed to get services to help you through why you have this addiction. If a parent or student can prove they've been tested, and two, they've signed up for counseling, then the expulsion is held in abeyance. So we're doing everything we can to keep kids in school, to get them to understand there has to be a punishment associated with some of the things they do, but there's no reason you can't make the work stay where you need to be, because it's hard enough as a freshman coming into a high school. You've never had to start collecting credits to graduate. All of a sudden you get behind, you don't get enough credits to get through that freshman year of 5 or 6. You're automatically set up for failure your sophomore year because you're back in class with the next group of younger kids, and it's just not a good place to be. So it's been very productive so far. Dustin's had great numbers. And like I said, not only math and English, but we have help in social studies and science also. So it's worked out very well. We have good attendance. Not everybody, but I'd say Dustin's saying his attendance is about 75 to 80%, so that's really good. The important thing to me is the work is getting back to the teacher. The teacher is grading it, inserting it into their grade book or Dazzle, and then sending out more work for them. So it's working really well. And it's very difficult. Once my kid got to 8th grade in math and science, I had to do a little research myself to help them with those two areas. So we've got teachers in place. It's not fair to ask the parents. Plus, most of our parents are working parents, can't stay at home with the kids at night, but this is a way for them to get there and get extra help if they need it. So it's worked out very well. But I wanted you to be aware that's what we're doing. It's been very successful so far, and we look to expand it to the middle school grades as we move forward.
It'd be nice after, we've done it for a while to maybe even have a couple of the students who've gotten back on track to be able to even come in and talk about it. maybe not, maybe it's still too early in the process right now, but I know that was one thing when the board used to hear all the expulsion appeals, that was the biggest cry out from the parents is, well, you know, now he or she's going to be home for the next 30 days and not be able to do their schoolwork. They're just automatically going to fail. So I think it's great that we've been so proactive in this because ultimately we want what's best for the student, and this has given them a chance.
Correct. And that's what it's all about, helping those kids, because kids will make mistakes,
Sure.
as my own have made as they go through life. But this is a good way to get them assistance. The next thing I wanted to update you on is I was going to let Daryl talk to you. We've talked about Butler Tech. We've applied for programs, so he's going to give you an update on that.
Right, so in terms of Butler Tech acceptance, our sophomores, if they are interested in applying for a Butler Tech program, have already done that. Our first round of acceptance has already been granted. So based on first round acceptances, we have 64 Colerain High School students who were accepted to go off campus to one of the DRL campuses for a program. And we have 39 Northwest High School students who have been accepted in the first round. So that's 103 this year that were accepted compared to 81 last year. So we have more kids who are pursuing these opportunities. We also have round one acceptance for kids who want to stay on our campus and take a program from someone like a Peter Clark. And we have 175 at Colerain High School and 103 at Northwest. These are all first round acceptances, so on March 10th there will be a second round for kids who didn't get their first choice, and then we'll have final numbers. And then we'll see how many of the kids actually accept and go into the programs. But they're really strong numbers compared to last year with kids choosing that. Another piece with our partnership with Butler Tech that we expanded this year was we worked with Butler Tech to expand and offer adult ed programming on our campuses. So starting in the fall of this year at the Colerain High School Career Center campus, the Butler Tech adult ed programs have been offering English as a second language classes as well as GED classes. They've gone through 2 rounds of that already. Those classes are free to parents. This is open to any community member within Colerain Township or outside of Colerain Township. But we've had 17 people who signed up for ESL classes in the first round, 6 who signed up for GED classes. In the second round of classes that were in the winter session, we had 13 ESL people and 2 GED. We've had adult ed for ESL from 9 different countries. So Butler Tech was very happy with those initial numbers, considering that's the first time we've offered that. So we're going to be meeting to continue to partner with them on how to expand and continue to offer these adult ed opportunities for our community.
Thanks, Daryl. The last thing I have is just making sure Donna's going to email all of you about the recognition for the 10-year anniversary for Jim and 20-year for Pam. It is March 14th up at the Warren County Career Center, so just respond if you can attend when she sends it out. Just want to remind you. And that's all I have.
Okay, we'll move on. This is the park community comments. I see some new faces. First of all, just want to let you know, it seems like sometimes we kind of go through this really fast. All of us receive a copy of the meeting minutes prior to the meeting, so we've had them since late last week and have a chance to go over all this. So lots of times, any questions that we have, we already get them answered before the meeting. And this is a time now that if you have any questions about anything that's been discussed during the meeting, you can just raise your hand and ask from where you're sitting. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. With that, we're going to move into board member comments. Chris?
Pam, just wanted to mention the Colerain Stag was a great success I guess it was last week, Todd, or 2 weeks ago. Coach Fickle, the new UC football coach, was there. We had a great turnout. The Master of Ceremony, I've been promising I'm going to bring in the WNSD thing. Amy, I will. It just takes us about 4 hours to edit that thing down. Well, the Master of Ceremonies was a guy you might know, Bill Dennison. They go by Segman Dennison on WLW, and his first comment when he got up there was where he started. He's had 38 years at WLW, and guess where he started? WNSD. And so the investment the Board of Education put in. There are several other people who have made careers, but the investment the board put into that radio station, has helped several people. I don't know if you call it national prominence, but certainly locally, Bill is well known. This thing that I told Bill, and I think I've brought this up before, is how we let that license expire, and that's worth about $500,000. Radio broadcast license is 90.1 FM. NKU was just sold for $1.9 million. And they don't want the equipment in that. They want that frequency in those call letters, which they can change. So I wish we had known that then. We could use that, and that would pay for our track and then some. But we didn't know. And but anyway, great stag last Thursday night, and had a good time.
Just want to wish both of our boys basketball teams good luck in the tournament games tomorrow.
Okay. Bob?
I'd like to congratulate the Pleasant Run Middle School basketball team for winning the league. That was good news. I'd like to thank Karen and her staff for coming tonight. Always good to hear from you guys. And always good to hear all the great things that come out of Butler Tech. And the building down at the home show was awesome.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on the three that already made the comments, and just the stuff with Butler Tech. If you guys have not been out there to see their facilities, it is really awesome. They did a great job down there at that Humble Garden show, and congratulate Peter Clark again on his award.
I just real quickly wanted to say, I think 2 weeks ago, Jim and I had the opportunity to go up to Miami University and watch two of our Colerain High School swimmers swim at the district.
Finals.
They do it different than track, so I always get confused. District finals, we had Haley Trotter and Carrie Tepe. Haley is a junior, Carrie is a senior that's already committed to swim collegiately. Both of them advanced to the state meet, so we went and saw Colerain does a nice job when they send off their athletes to the state meet, and so both of them did very well. I can't remember off the top of my head their places. I believe Haley improved by 1 spot, and
She was 14th.
she was.
Because there's 24 kids that qualify for each race.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing because there's like 2 different finals, but Haley actually went into state ranked 22nd and actually ended up 14th, and she's only a junior. And then Carrie moved up 1 spot. I think she went in at the 24th spot and swam and made the 23rd spot. So they both did very well, and we look forward to watching Haley next year and cheering Carrie on in college. So with that, move on to, I have a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I think we have to read this. Move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the motion to move into executive sessions as listed.
Now I need the motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Just to let everyone know, we are going to move into executive session. You're welcome to sit and wait. We will not be taking any action. So basically, once we come back out, we'll just be adjourning the meeting.